So originally I wanted to do two casting updates, but Oppenheimer is doing a lot more. But let's get to the cast, which is insane. This is an insane cast by almost any standard. Just even naming all the people that are going to be associated here is incredible. But we also have, yes, some initial photos of Oppenheimer. So we've got a lot to go through. Who is leading the cast? Well, we've got Killian, and Killian has been a long time Nolan actor. So he goes back a long. Of course, the Batman Begins. And he even was going to be Batman. And you've looked at some of the audition tapes that were released. So that's really interesting. I don't think he's right for Oppenheimer, but the surrounding cast is very reassuring. We've got Emily Blunt, we've got Matt Damon, Robert Downey Jr., Josh Hartnett. And I've been a long time fan of Josh Hartnett. Also Rami, Jason Clark. It's just like an endless parade of people. It's really stunning. We have some actors I don't know very well, so they're much more minor. But again, in terms of the main cast, it's pretty huge and pretty impressive. Now that said, this has been done before, especially with somebody like M. Night Shyamalan, Steven Spielberg, and other really big auteurs, Oliver Stone. They do gather an impressive cast, a cast which is really shockingly huge and amazing, but the end product is either just okay or even not very good. I mean, technically, Tenet had a really impressive cast, right? Robert and some of the other people, and even had a really good cameo with Michael. However, Oppenheimer, I do think is going to be building up, at the very least, to be a very interesting film. And they're really going all out. Now, I live on the East Coast, so I know Princeton University. Again, what he's doing in of itself, shooting there, is not groundbreaking. If you've seen Russell Crowe's Beautiful Mind, then Princeton will look very familiar. But nevertheless, going for this full authenticity is very reassuring. So the cast, for now, looks pretty amazing. The photos look spectacular. But again, we also have to look at the other side of the table, which is it is facing an uphill battle because it's going to have to make at least $500 million to be profitable. Again, granted, probably a lot of people here are not charging their full salary. They're working for a reasonable rate. Again, Nolan, whatever else you want to say about his films, they always look incredible. Even if you don't like the main story, visually, he always goes for the top. So it's going to be an amazing looking film. And I think he's going to be toning down his style a little bit because it is going to be basically a historical drama. I think we all know there's going to be a lot of twists involved. We don't even know technically what the time is with Oppenheimer. We're obviously going to get him creating the bomb. That's obviously going to be a big part of this because they're going to get a big special effects crew for just shooting how. So we're going to get the main events of his story, but how much of his life, which parts of his life, it's unclear. And of course, with Nolan, he plays with time. We might be going from the beginning of his life to the end of his life and just jumping all over the place with his timeline. So it's a lot of questions whether this will be a straight chronology, which I doubt. So I don't think it's going to be just a straightforward biopic. With Nolan, we really can't tell. So he's probably going to add some little special touches. And obviously, he doesn't always keep the historical record. He's probably going to be playing with some of the few events, I'm sure. And of course, we're probably going to get a very big twist ending, which is probably not in the history books, but something he's going to be speculating about. Again, for all we know, this could be all a dream in his head. And that's what we're really experiencing. We're not experiencing Oppenheimer as he lived in real life, but maybe a sort of fictionalized version of how he constructed himself. So it's a lot of possibilities. So I'm actually very eager for this. But I will say the cast is very much the most impressive part of this so far. Them going the extra mile to really capture as authentically the time period is also very interesting. And I think should reassure people this is going to be a very well done production. But again, like a lot of people, I do have a lot of skepticism because the latest round of his films are still very good, but Dark Knight I think is probably still one of his strongest films. But I actually like Following a lot too. That people have just forgotten Following, but I actually like that a whole lot. But more and more, it does seem like his early and middle years are really his best years. But who knows? Maybe just experience a small slump with Tenet and some of the other films, and he's going to be back to form. That happened with Fincher. I myself did not like Gone Girl as much as other people, but I would admit, kind of revitalization of his style. So at least it brought back some of his older way of doing things, and I think that's when he's much stronger. So hopefully that'll also happen with Nolan when the more classical Nolan elements will come in. Again, I don't think he's going to quit being who he is now. He's going to include a lot of weird jokes. It's going to be needlessly abstruse sometimes. He's going to try to overimpress people, but I think he's going to balance things out with a more classical Nolan style.